I never thought I'd be the guy writing something like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with Emily for almost 5 years. We got engaged about a year ago, and I honestly thought we had a good thing going. She's smart, ambitious, gorgeous. At least she used to be. But lately, I started noticing little things that didn't sit right. I mean, I'm not a complete idiot. I could tell she was acting distant, secretive even. She'd lie about where she was, say she was working late, but then I'd find out she was out with friends or worse with her boss, Jason. Jason's a guy I knew from high school. We weren't best friends, but we ran in the same circles. He was always the smooth talker, the guy with a swagger that made you think he knew something you didn't. Emily used to flirt with him sometimes, but I thought it was just her playful personality. Turns out, that was just the start. I didn't want to believe it, but I could see the signs. Her texts, the late-night calls she'd hide from me, the way she'd suddenly get defensive if I mentioned Jason. It was like she didn't want me to know what was really going on. Then last week I decided to check her phone, not proud of it, but I was desperate. I found a string of messages, flirty, suggestive, clearly more than just friendly banter. She called him babe more than once. My stomach sank. I felt sick. She had been lying to me all this time, right under my nose, about the guy she was screwing behind my back. The worst part, I saw from her messages that they'd been sneaking around for months. And it wasn't just sex. She was emotionally involved, talking about her hopes, her frustrations, even mentioning her plans to leave me for him. I was stunned. I couldn't breathe for a second. My mind was racing, trying to process what I'd just uncovered. I felt betrayed, furious, and utterly devastated. How could she do this? How could she lie to my face for so long? I mean, I knew she was bitchy and manipulative, but this was next level. I thought I knew her, but now I'm not sure I ever really did. The woman I married, the woman I trusted with my life, she'd been fucking someone else, not just a fling, but her boss, her childhood friend. That's what makes it even worse. It's like a punch in the gut to realize she's been lying so blatantly. I didn't confront her that night. I just sat there, staring at the screen, feeling everything crash down around me. I knew I had to do something, but I wasn't sure what. Part of me wanted to explode right then and there, but another part, more rational, knew I needed a plan. I wasn't going to let her see me break, not yet. I had to think, to figure out what her lies really meant. Was she just screwing around, or was this deeper? Was I just a placeholder to her, or did she ever truly love me? All these questions swirled in my head, and I felt like I was drowning in a sea of betrayal. The next day, I decided I'd confront her face to face. I knew I couldn't keep pretending everything was okay. I had to hear her spin her lies, see if she'd still deny everything, or if she'd finally admit she'd been cheating on me. I wanted to hear her say the words, even if. I knew they'd cut me open. I just couldn't go on living like this, not knowing if I was with someone I could trust anymore. The trust I had for her was shattered, broken into pieces I wasn't sure I could ever glue back together. That's where I stand now, waiting to see what will come of this, what's left of us once I finally confront her. I didn't sleep that night. I kept replaying everything I'd found, every text, every word she'd lied about. I'd never felt so torn in my life. Part of me wanted to just pack my bags and leave, erase her from my life and forget I ever knew her. But another part, a stubborn, naive part, still hoped I could fix this. That maybe, somehow, I could get through to her and make her see the damage she'd done. I knew that wasn't realistic, but I clung to that hope for a while. Morning came, and I decided I couldn't put this off any longer. I wanted to hear her lie straight to my face, to see if she'd even admit the affair or keep up her bullshit stories. I told her I needed to talk, and she looked at me with that bitchy smirk like she already knew what I'd found out. She dismissed my concerns, said I was overreacting, that I was paranoid, said she'd never cheat on me, that Jason was just a friend and I was reading too much into stuff. She even threw in that classic line, "You're just insecure, Mike. You don't trust me, but I swear I've been faithful." I looked her dead in the eyes and told her I knew the truth, that I'd seen the messages and I wasn't stupid. She immediately got defensive, started calling me crazy, saying I was being possessive and jealous. She argued about how I'd been accusing her of stuff that wasn't there, how I was making things up in my head. She even had the nerve to call me paranoid when she knew damn well I was. I could see her eyes flickering, trying to keep her composure, but I wasn't falling for her act. The confrontation turned ugly fast. She shrieked, called me all sorts of names: controlling, insecure, a worthless husband who didn't deserve her. She said she was sick of my accusations and that I was just jealous because Jason was successful and confident, two things she claimed I was. She told me I was just a boring guy, not worthy of her, and that she deserved someone who could give her excitement. That's when I lost it. I told her she was a fucking liar, a manipulative bitch, and that I was done. Done with the lies, the cheating, her bullshit excuses. I told her I wanted her out of my life and that I'd be filing for divorce. Her reaction: she just sneered and said I was overreacting, that I wasn't enough for her anymore, and that I'd never really understood her. She turned on the tears, but I saw through it. She's good at pretending, but this time I wasn't buying it. I packed her bags myself and threw her out of the house. She stormed out, screaming about how I'd never loved her, how she'd find someone better, someone who appreciated her. Honestly, I felt a strange mixture of relief and heartbreak. Relief that I finally confronted her, and heartbreak for the years I wasted trust in her, for the woman I thought I knew. It hit me then. She'd been lying to my face for months. All the little things I brushed off, all the signs I ignored, they were all there. She'd been sneaking around with Jason, probably screwing him at work, probably doing God knows what. The betrayal cut deep. I kept thinking about how she'd call him her boss, her friend, but in reality they'd crossed every boundary possible. And I stupidly believed her when she said she was just tired, stressed, or not feeling well. Yeah, right. She had been living a double life, and I was the fool who didn't see it coming. Once she left, I stayed behind, feeling numb. My entire world had been rocked. I kept asking myself what I did wrong, if I was somehow to blame. But deep down, I knew she was the one at fault. She's always been bitchy, manipulative, and a master at lying. I realized I had been blind to her true nature for a long time. I thought I could fix her, that love was enough. Turns out, love isn't enough when the person you love is so good at hiding their darker side. Now I'm sitting here, alone, trying to piece myself back together. The house feels empty, colder somehow. Every memory, every plan we made, now just a ghost. I can't stop thinking about Jason and her, what it must have been like, how she could just throw me away like trash for some guy she used to flirt with in high school. I've never felt such rage and sadness all at once. I know I need to move on. I have to rebuild my life without her, but it's honestly hard to see the future right now. I keep replaying her lies, her screams, her smug face when she thought she was getting away with everything. The worst part, I don't even think she truly cares. She's a woman who lies, manipulates, and then just walks away, leaving chaos behind. It's a bitter lesson, but I guess I'm finally waking up. After she left, I spent the next couple of days in a haze. I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal, of being played for a fool. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her smirk, heard her dismissive tone, and felt that cold rush of anger. I kept asking myself how I could have missed all the signs, how I never saw through her bitchy, manipulative attitude until it was too late. I thought I knew her, knew what kind of person she was, but turns out I only knew the version she wanted me to see. The real her had been hiding behind that fake smile, that toxic charm all along. I started going through everything she'd ever said or done, trying to piece together her lies. I found old texts, emails, little notes she'd hidden away. All the signs were there, I just refused to see them. She'd always been good at twisting things, making herself the victim, and somehow I'd bought into it. I was angry at myself for being so blind, but mostly I was furious at her. How could she cheat on me with her boss, her childhood friend, someone I once considered a good guy? That betrayal cut so deep I felt like I was bleeding inside. One thing that kept coming back to me was how she'd lied about her feelings. She'd always been bitchy, quick to accuse, quick to dismiss. That's just who she is, an entitled, manipulative woman who's used to getting her way. But underneath it all, I guess she's just a selfish liar. That's what hurts the most, knowing she never really loved me, just used me for a while, and now that she found someone else, I was just disposable. I kept thinking about her words, her dismissive attitude when I tried to bring up the affair, how she'd call me insecure or jealous whenever I questioned her. I decided I needed to take control of the situation. I started planning my next move. I knew I couldn't just let this slide. I couldn't let her get away with ruining everything without consequences. I wanted her to feel some of the pain she'd inflicted on me. I wasn't just going to let her walk away, smiling and acting like she hadn't just betrayed me. No, I had to do something that would make her regret what she'd done. I reached out to a couple of friends I trust, got some legal advice, and began to see what my options were. I was going to divorce her, not because I was just hurt, but because I didn't see any way to repair this kind of damage. Trust is broken, and I don't think I can ever look at her the same way again. She's the kind of woman who throws away her marriage for a fling, who manipulates her way through life, and now she's out the door, probably planning her life with Jason, the guy she's been screwing for months. I hope she's happy. She deserves that after what she did to me. At the same time, I couldn't help but feel a strange sense of relief. She's gone, and I don't have to keep pretending everything's okay anymore. I can finally breathe again. But underneath that relief is a deep sadness that I lost someone I thought I knew. The woman I married, who once seemed so strong and confident, turned out to be a selfish, lying bitch. I kept asking myself if I was ever truly happy with her or just fooling myself. I think I wanted to believe in the fairy tale, love, trust, happily ever after, but she shattered that fantasy with her lies. I've realized something important in all this. Not everyone who seems perfect actually is. Sometimes the person you trust the most will betray you in ways you never saw coming. It's a hard lesson, but one I had to learn the hard way. I'm not saying I'm over it yet, far from it, but I'm starting to see the light at the end of this dark tunnel. I'm going to move on, rebuild, and find someone who actually respects and values me. For now, I'm just trying to get through each day. It's a process. Sometimes I get angry, sometimes I feel hopeless, but I know I'll come out of this stronger. She might have been a bitch, but I'm not going to let her destroy me. Not forever. I'll heal, I'll learn, and maybe, just maybe, I'll find someone who deserves my trust. Until then, I'll keep trying to put the pieces back together, one day at a time. The days after she left were the hardest I've ever experienced. The house felt completely empty, not just physically but emotionally. Every corner, every piece of furniture, every picture on the wall seemed to mock me with memories of what I thought we had. I kept replaying that night in my head, her screaming, her crying, the way she looked at me when she called me insecure. It's like I was trapped in a bad nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I started going through her stuff, looking for anything that might give me more clarity. I found her secret stash of messages with Jason, more proof of how deep this betrayal went. There were photos, little notes she'd written herself, and even some intimate messages where she talked about leaving me, how she didn't love me anymore, and her plans to start over with Jason. It all hit me like a ton of bricks. That's when I realized this was no casual affair. She was completely committed to this new life she was building with him. I also found out she had been lying about some of her friends, her job, her entire life. She'd always been good at spinning stories, twisting the truth to make herself look like a victim. Her bitchy attitude was just her way of controlling the narrative, keeping everyone around her questioning what was real and what wasn't. I felt a mix of disgust and sadness. Disgust because she had been so manipulative, and sadness because I'd believed in her, in us. I had loved her, protected her, trusted her. I thought she loved me back. Turns out she was just using me as a safety net while she fucked around behind my back. I knew I had to do something about it. I couldn't let her get away with this. I reached out to a lawyer, started gathering all the evidence I could find, and began preparing to file for divorce. I didn't want to be with someone like her anymore. I didn't want to wake up every morning feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. I wanted justice, even if that just meant ending it all. I was furious that she could just walk out, leave me with nothing but shattered trust and broken dreams. I wanted her to feel some of what I'd been feeling: devastation, humiliation, and the realization that she hadn't just betrayed me, she destroyed everything we built. But still, I couldn't completely shut her out. I kept thinking about her smile, her bitchy smirk, the way she'd always try to manipulate me into doing what she wanted. That woman was a master at hiding her true nature, and I'd been so blind. I remember one night, I found myself staring at her old favorite perfume, a gift I'd given her on our anniversary. The scent brought back memories, good ones before everything fell apart. I felt tears welling up, but I fought them back. I knew I couldn't let her see me like this. I had to stay strong for myself. That's when I realized the most painful truth. I was better off without her. She was a toxic, manipulative bitch who never cared about my feelings, only about herself. I couldn't keep living in the shadow of her lies. I needed to rebuild my life, even if that meant starting from scratch. I decided I'd move out of the house soon, find a new place, and start fresh. I didn't want to keep living in the aftermath of her betrayal. I wanted to reclaim my life piece by piece. As I sit here now trying to process everything, I keep asking myself how I let it get this far. How did I not see her true colors before? The truth is, I was blinded by love, by hope. I thought she was perfect, but she was just a manipulative, bitchy woman who used her charm to hide what she really was. Now I see that, and I realize I deserve better. I've learned the hard way that sometimes the person you trust most is the one who can hurt you the deepest. And that trust, once broken, is almost impossible to fully repair. So I'm here trying to pick up the pieces. It's going to take time, I know that. I'm hurt, angry, and honestly pretty lost right now. But I also know I have to move forward. I have to focus on myself, rebuild my confidence, and remember that I am worth more than someone who lies, manipulates, and walks all over me. One thing I won't do is let her win. I'll use this pain to grow, to become stronger. Because if there's one thing I've learned from all this, it's that a bitch like her doesn't deserve my tears or my heartbreak. I'm done with her games. Now it's time to focus on me, on healing and moving on. The hardest part of all this is trying to figure out how to move on. I mean, I'm still raw, still feeling the sting of betrayal every single day. I go from furious rage to deep sadness in a matter of minutes. Sometimes I think about reaching out to her just to hear her side, but then I remember all the lies, all the manipulation, and I realize there's no point. She's a snake. She's always been good at pretending to care, but underneath that bitchy exterior, she's just selfish and manipulative. I've been seeing a lawyer trying to understand what my options are for divorce. It's a mess. She's taken some of her things, left a few notes that sounded more like threats than genuine feelings. She called me insecure, accused me of being controlling, said I was the reason she cheated because I was boring and not enough for her. That's classic Emily blame shifting, playing the victim. Honestly, I wanted to punch her through the phone every time she tried to spin her lies, but I stayed calm. I had to. I know if I want to get through this, I have to keep my head clear. Deep down, I know I'll be better off without her. I keep telling myself that over and over. That she's just a toxic bitch who used me for her own selfish needs. But some days I can't help feeling like I failed somehow. Like I missed warning signs or that I wasn't enough to keep her faithful. Those thoughts are dangerous. They threaten to swallow me whole, but I refuse to let them define me. I've always been the type to pick myself up after falling, and this is no different. If anything, I need to prove that I'm stronger than her lies. A part of me still wonders what she's doing right now. Probably with Jason, I'd bet. Probably planning their next move, or maybe just enjoying her new life without me. That thought makes me sick. I realize that she's always been a bitch. She just used her charm to hide it. Now she's out in the open, showing her true colors. And honestly, I don't want to be part of her world anymore. I want out. I want to find someone who genuinely cares, who respects me, not a woman who manipulates, lies, and cheats on her husband like it's nothing. In some strange way, I feel relief that I finally got the truth. No more pretending, no more lies. I never wanted to be that guy who's blindly loyal to a woman who doesn't deserve it. I want a future where I can trust again, where I don't have to look over my shoulder or wonder what she's hiding. I know it's going to take time, and I'm not fooling myself into thinking I'll forget this overnight. But I also realize I can't keep living in the past. My focus now is on healing, on figuring out how to rebuild myself. I've started going to the gym again, trying to channel my anger and frustration into something productive. It helps, even if just a little. I've also been talking to a therapist, trying to process all these feelings: betrayal, anger, sadness. It's weird how the human mind works. One moment I'm furious and ready to burn everything she ever touched. The next I'm just empty, wondering how I got so blind. But I'm learning that pain is part of the process. It's how you grow stronger. Now I'm more focused on what's next. I know I need to get my finances in order, find a new place to live, and start rebuilding my independence. I don't want her to win by taking everything from me. I want to come out of this with my dignity intact. Honestly, I've never felt more determined in my life. I've been through hell, but I know I can survive this. I have to. Because at the end of the day, I deserve better. I deserve someone who's honest. Someone who respects me, not someone who's out screwing her boss behind my back. That's the lesson I keep telling myself, that I am worth more than a woman who treats me like dirt. So, for everyone out there who might be going through something similar, I'll say this: trust your gut. Don't ignore the signs. And when you catch her or him in the act, don't hesitate. Cut ties, get out, and don't look back. Because the truth always comes out, and you're better than being used or played. I'm still healing, but I know I'm on the right track. I'll get through this mess. I have to. And someday, I'll look back at this as a painful chapter that made me stronger. It's been a few weeks since I kicked her out and started putting my life back together. Honestly, I still wake up some mornings feeling numb, like a part of me is still trying to catch up with everything that happened. But each day gets a little easier, even if I'm not all the way there yet. I've been focusing on myself, going to therapy, hitting the gym, reconnecting with friends I neglected during the chaos. It's funny how much your perspective shifts when everything you thought was real turns out to be a lie. I keep thinking about that moment I found her messages, how my stomach dropped and I felt this cold, sinking feeling in my chest. That was the wake-up call I needed. No more blind trust, no more overlooking her bitchy attitude or her manipulative ways. I finally see her for what she really is, an entitled woman who's only out for herself. And you know what? I'm glad I found out when I did. Better now than years down the line, wasting more time on someone who never truly cared. Divorce is in the works. I've been through the paperwork, spoken to a lawyer, and I'm finally ready to sign the papers. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but I know it's for the best. I don't want to spend another second living with a woman who lied to my face, who cheated with her boss, and then called me insecure when I finally caught her. That's not love. It's just manipulation and selfishness. I refuse to be her punching bag anymore. She's not worth my tears, my pain, or my heartbreak. The truth is, I've learned a lot from all this. I've learned that not everyone who appears perfect really is. That sometimes the people closest to us can hurt us the most because they hide who they really are. And that trust, once broken, is almost impossible to fix. But I also learned that I'm stronger than I thought. I survived her betrayal, and I will keep surviving. I'll build a new life, one that's honest and true, with someone who actually deserves me. Looking ahead, I don't have all the answers yet, but I know I'll get there. I'm not rushing things. I'm taking the time to heal, to reflect, and to move forward. I want a future where I can trust again, where I won't be blindsided by another betrayal. And I'll never forget what she did, never forget the pain she caused, but I refuse to let it define me. Instead, I'll use it as fuel to become better, to be more cautious, and to find someone who genuinely cares. That's the most important lesson I've learned. Value yourself enough to walk away from anyone who doesn't treat you with respect. No amount of love, no matter how deep, is worth feeling. Like this. I'm done with her and I'm finally ready to move on. She thought she could break me, but she only made me stronger. And for anyone out there going through something similar, trust me, it gets better. You just have to hold on, be patient, and remember your worth. Because at the end of the day, no one should ever make you feel less than you are.